Hey everyone, thank you for joining us once again. Hey, Christmas is almost here, so today we are talking about nutrition, but today we're focusing on adult and senior nutrition. Joining me right now, Wendy Lyle. Wendy, thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, so Wendy, in case you haven't seen our other previous interviews, she is a registered nurse, so she kind of understands everything and anything when it comes to nutrition. So I have a lot of questions to talk to you about.
Yes, you do.
So let's talk about adult nutrition and how that kind of differentiates with senior nutrition, and what are some things that people should know about?
So adult nutrition really should, just be a well-balanced diet from all your food groups. Of course, maintain a healthy weight. And then as adults, we get older, we start getting maybe a chronic condition or two, such as heart disease, et cetera. You'll want to maintain that dietary restrictions that your doctor tells you about. But as seniors get older, their nutritional needs kind of start to differ, because as we all know, as we get older, our bodies start to slow down.
Yes, and we have this graphic here to kind of explain that. So let's talk about this. I know, like we said earlier, there's things that people go through as they age. I mean, we get a little weaker, and like it says here, metabolism, muscle mass. So kind of dive into this a little bit.
So with the muscle mass is a big issue with seniors. So you want to maintain protein. It's essential for maintaining that muscle mass and strength. It also helps to maintain the calories. So if you have unintentional weight loss all of a sudden, and you need to increase your calories, whereas a lot of times seniors, you may just keep the calories the same. So you kind of have to watch for that. And then calcium and vitamin D are important for bone health. So we know seniors break bones sometimes. We don't want them to fall and break their hips, et cetera, because that could be devastating. And then fiber helps with digestion, and it prevents constipation, which can be an issue with them because they don't drink as much typically as they get older.
How important is physical activity and exercising the older you get?
Well, it also helps maintain that muscle mass. And then it also keeps their joints moving. I know it's difficult as we get older. It's harder when the cold weather hits. We don't want to get out of bed. Our bones ache.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Not that I'm speaking from experience, but as you get out of bed, your bones start to ache a little bit, and so those joints, you want to keep them moving. So it's very important for seniors to maintain that activity, and also it helps with digestion and mental health. It helps with mood.
And so as a registered nurse, do you know why we see a lot of seniors have a lot of falls and things of that nature? Is that just because the lack of exercise?
Not necessarily. So there's a lot of factors that go into that. It could be cognitive. A lot of times they have trouble with their place in space. And then sometimes, they may have ear problems. Sometimes even having a urinary tract infection can cause some confusion in a senior. And so they may fall, not realizing, that that's a step. Or, they just lose that muscle mass, and it's hard to, they get weak and they have a hard time picking up their leg.
I see. And how does the metabolism change the older we get?
So a study I read recently said that between our 20s, 30s, 40s, and even our 50s, our metabolism stays about the same. So, but as we get older, in 60 and above, it kind of starts to slow down. And so we kind of have to change what we're doing at that point to try and, keep our metabolism, pretty steady.
Are there any diet recommendations for preventing any type of illness, like heart disease, for example?
So just a well-balanced diet to help prevent. So cut out the sugary foods, do fruits and vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, healthy fats, such as olive oils, nuts, seeds, avocado. But limit those saturated and trans fats. So don't have as much of it or none at all. And then of course, always limit the sodium. We like the sodium. It tastes good. We want to continue eating that.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it's we crave it and sometimes, but that's not good for our heart.
What do most seniors gear towards as far as the types of meals they prefer or the types of meals they like? Has there been a trend in what you have seen in years? Or does it all depend?
It all just depends on the person, because as we get older, our taste buds change, and so does our sense of smell. Of course, we know when COVID hit, that did all of that too.
Yeah.
So, it just depends. And then sometimes as a senior gets older, they may like something, and then all of a sudden it's like, I don't like it anymore. And so then they don't want to change very often. So they don't want to try anything new sometimes. But as when we get older, our taste buds change.
And so as far as drinks go, I mean, I know we are all supposed to drink our water. Is there anything that maybe adults and seniors should maybe they can have an alternative to water in case, I mean, no one gets tired of water, but just an example.
Well,
healthy drinks.
Yes, healthy drinks. So you can make healthy water, actually. You can infuse some fruit into your water. Avoid the sugary drinks, such as sodas. And then fruit juices. If you look at it, a lot of times fruit juices actually have added sugar to it. So you want fruit juices that say 100% juice, but only about 4 ounces of that a day. But you can also add a little bit of juice of that 100% juice to your water. And then, it gives it just a little bit of a flavor to it.
How about energy drinks? So I love energy drinks, but I've now started to cut that out of my diet. But, we live in this fast-paced type of lifestyle where everything's go, go, go. A lot of people, rely on energy drinks to get their energy and ready for the day. Talk a little bit about that. I know it's bad. I know we should stop with the energy drinks. What happens when you have taurine like every morning?
So it's not good for your kidneys. It's very difficult for your kidneys to process a lot of that out of your system, not to mention your liver processes some of it too. So as it processes out, it could be doing damage to those kidneys, especially if you drink it excessively. And then too, if you look at it, a lot of times they have added sugar, because how many energy drinks really taste good? You can taste the minerals and stuff in it. So what do they do to make that better? They add sugar to it. So a lot of times that's also just as bad as having a soda because the sugar content is high. But mainly it's your kidneys. You don't want all that extra minerals and stuff that your kidneys are having to process out.
What about B12? Is it okay to have some B12, or when is it too much to have?
So it's okay to have B12. B12 is great.
Okay.
It helps with metabolism and a lot of other things. And so it's okay to have B12, but you can have too much B12. Your body does try to process out what it doesn't need, of course. But so talk to your physician, your PCP. There are tests that he can run on vitamins and supplements so that he can tell you, okay, look, your B12 is low. Let's add a supplement to it.
When should people start going to the doctor? In their adult age, should they be going to their doctor to check on? Okay.
Yeah, so even as early as their 20s, they should be going to the doctor, at least maybe getting a physical once a year. Because you want to know ahead of time if something's going to happen. Let's say your cholesterol starts inching up there. Your doctor can tell you, hey, you know what, your bad cholesterol is inching up. Let's talk about your diet. And then so that can help, ward off having to take medication to lower your cholesterol, or even ward off a heart attack later on.
Okay, very good. Also, let's talk about coffee. So we talked about the energy drinks, now coffee. So I read, so someone had told me if you drink a lot of coffee right now, it's supposed to prevent you from getting Alzheimer's. I assume there's not enough studies for that. What do you know about that?
So I did research it when you sent me the question, because I love my coffee as much as the other person. And so I did research it, and you're right, there's not enough studies done on it. And it's been small groups of people. So the most recent one had 277 60-year-olds or older. And so it's not a big enough group as a researcher to really say definitively, hey, this coffee is going to ward off Alzheimer's. But coffee in moderation for seniors has been proven by many studies that it can help improve cognitive functions. It can lower the risk of dementia, and it can also improve your mood, and help with depression, because it helps that it's like a little taste of heaven in a cup.
Right.
So it improves your mood for the day. I know my family doesn't talk to me without my coffee in the morning. They already know. So it's like not one word to me until that first cup is down.
Right. Wow. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Everything in moderation.
Yes.
So just keep that in mind. Okay. For seniors that have any medical conditions, as far as dietary restrictions go, what healthy foods would you recommend, or types of meals?
So it would depend on their dietary restriction. MyPlate.gov is a great place to go, and it does have where you can put in what your restriction is, such as, let's say it's the heart. You put that in, and it can give you food groups that say, okay, look, you need some more of this, okay, let's cut down on sodium, because even sodium occurs naturally. But stick to your well-balanced, healthy diet. MyPlate.gov is a great resource for, that, and your physician is too. And so they can always recommend a dietitian, and so they can help, formulate a diet for you.
Awesome. For adults right now, what is something that we can do that would better prepare us for when we reach our older years?
A well-balanced diet.
Well-balanced diet,
Yes.
That's really the answer. Okay.
It is the answer. A well-balanced diet, maintain a healthy weight, and of course activity.
Okay. And we're talking, is 15 minutes a day okay as
No.
far as exercise? Really?
Yes.
Because I heard even if you walk 15 minutes
It helps.
a day, it helps.
30 minutes a day is like your optimum.
Okay.
30 minutes a day is your optimum. I know.
Not me having to update my Apple Watch.
I know. I'm not gonna lie. They want you to have 10 to 20,000 steps a day. It's about 30 minutes a day usually, and continuous.
I've been doing 15-minute walks thinking that it's okay. All right.
It's okay. As long, you can take a 15-minute walk, maybe divide it. Do 15 here and then 15 in another one.
Yes.
Just make it continuous 15, so you get your 30 a day.
You guys take notes because I'm taking notes. Okay, so holidays are here. Are there any specific types of holiday foods that seniors should avoid if they're going to any parties or things of that nature?
Well, of course, sugar. Take those pies in moderation. Maybe have one slice instead of 4. I know. Avoid excessive salt. So if you see salty foods, I love green bean casserole. During the holidays, it's got the fried onions on top. Of course, that's high in sodium. So, try to avoid high salty foods. Don't add extra salt to foods, and avoid high fat dishes. And of course, moderate your alcohol intake, if any at all.
What if grandma just wants, 2 glasses of Chardonnay?
I'm not gonna lie, my husband's grandmother would come find me during the holidays and be like, hey, are we gonna get that Cosmopolitan? She lived to be 95 years old.
Really?
So
Wow.
she did. And so, in moderation, like anything else, it's okay. As long as it's okay with, their medications and stuff, you just have to be real careful about whether your medicine allows you to have alcohol or not.
Okay, wonderful. So limit your wine glasses if you can, Grandma. So for any seniors who maybe have trouble, swallowing or chewing, what are some tips that you would recommend to someone who's maybe a caretaker, and what types of meals could be incorporated?
So first, they really need to consult with their PCP, their primary doctor, so that they can get them an evaluation with a dietitian and possibly a speech therapist. They very well may need what's called a swallow study. And so with that, then they can tell them what foods that they can eat and what foods to avoid, such as liquids. Sometimes seniors have a little harder time with liquids. They might swallow it, aspirate it, it gets into their lungs, causes pneumonia. If that's the case, then sometimes they may recommend something called a thickener to thicken the foods with so that they can handle it. And then, of course, small bites.
Small bites.
It's easier to maintain.
Okay, wonderful. And then for any seniors who are dealing with early dementia, what types of tips would you recommend giving someone if maybe they're still living at home by themselves, they don't realize they are kind of seeing these early stages of dementia?
So I would say that, to just watch for the signs, keep things simple. If you're a caretaker, and step in to make sure that they're eating. You may have to set a reminder. They may not realize that it's time for lunch. They lose track of time, they lose track of the day. So set reminders. Keep the food simple. They get confused easily. So they may have a hard time distinguishing between the plate and the food, or the plate and the table. It confuses them, and then they get agitated. Or they just forget to eat. So setting reminders is easy. And in this digital day and age, it is so much easier. Alexa can remind you. Set up an Alexa, your watch, your phone, anything. But just check in on them. Make sure they're eating.
And so same thing for adults as well as seniors. 3 times a day, would you say, is kind of the ideal?
It is the ideal, yes.
Okay.
Sometimes they need to eat a little, snacks in between, and that's fine as long as they're healthy snacks. It kind of keeps their metabolism going too. But yes, ideally 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay, great. And then are there any specific nutritional supplements that are commonly recommended for seniors, and under what circumstances might they be necessary?
So as we age, we may need some vitamin B6 for immunity, anemia, and depression. And then calcium for strong bones and vitamin D, because our skin can't take as much vitamin D in like we used to. And two, seniors don't get out in the sun because vitamin D is the sun vitamin, you know. And so they can't really get out. And in West Texas, it's hard sometimes to get out in that sun because you might get sandblasted.
Right.
So, you know, it's important that they take supplements sometimes, but of course they need to consult their physician. They can run, you know, some labs to make sure and see what vitamins they're lacking in, because you can take too much supplement. And so we don't want to do that with seniors who are kind of a little more touchy and sensitive with it. So they can, you know, run the studies and see what they need exactly. But, you know, the vitamin B12, et cetera, it helps too. As we get older, our bodies just kind of slow down. And that means everything. Cell metabolisms, all of it.
Well, do your exercise, kids. I hope that you learned a lot from Wendy. Wendy, do you have any final words? If anyone has any questions, or maybe they want to do some research on some of the things we talked about today, what are the best places to go to?
So the best places to go is, of course, cdc.gov, and then myplate.gov also. And then Alzheimer's Association is a great resource for people who are looking into, you know, early dementia, Alzheimer's. What are the tips? What are the signs? What do caregivers need to do? Wonderful.
And I think this was such a great interview because a lot of the time adults, we don't really think about our health. I mean, you know, we should, as much as, you know, we really should be paying attention to what we can do to prepare for ourselves later in the future.
Yeah, I think we're so busy that we're trying to make sure that our kids are eating right and you know, our parents are eating right, that sometimes we just forget about ourselves.
Yes. So guys, if you want to check out some of our other interviews, we've had a lot with Midland Health Services. Be sure to check out our website at newswest9.com. You can also download our streaming app called 9plus, which is available on Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, and Google Play. Thanks so much for joining us, and please thank Wendy Lyle for ending our last interview with Midland Health Services of the year. Hope you guys have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you guys next time.